And we're live. Hello and welcome to the 73rd episode of Game Theory Gang. I'm Maddie Allen with Brisology, Tobiwan Hexobi, and ChrispyMan of HEX Fire. Welcome.
Welcome.
Hey guys, how's everyone's week been?
Hit the like and subscribe button if you're appreciating the fact that we did a 42-hour conference
Awesome.
and a 40-plus city movie premiere. Tobiwan, congrats.
I did three
Smashed
cities in
it
3 days.
out of the park.
Dude, it was crazy. I'm still recuperating. I don't know how. I mean, maybe. I mean, like, RG's my age, but like you younger guys, it's like I'm just attributing it to you being young, right? But it's like 50 and trying to do that shit. It's like, and then Kareem drug us all out one evening in Miami, which was just a bad idea on a lot of levels. So that cut into my sleep before heading to Austin. But yeah, it was great, man. It was so nice meeting a bunch of people at the PulseChain conference in Austin. That was great. And then getting
PLSconference.live.
PLSconference.live. That's it. Hey, Maddie, do you guys have a link up yet for the photographs? I know that Pascal was working hard, like shooting all kinds of cool pictures. So I didn't see a link to his photography yet.
We have no expectations, but we also usually remember when Pascal like flies back to Europe. That takes like a day or two, and he is one of the fastest people in the biz to get the photos turned around. And when they are available, you'll see them all over Twitter and hex.photos, the website.
Right on. Cool.
So that's something to look forward to. Thanks to Art Morikawa and Tobiwan as well for helping to make the conference possible. Even Sami's here in the chat,
Sami
shouting it out, saying, woo woo, love you guys. 70 conference members is an achievement. Johnny Chaos, suit jacket means we took it to the next level.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you guys see Johnny in the suit?
I did. But that was 70 people in person, right? Online, you've got thousands of views.
That was 70 streamers that streamed during the live stream, right?
Okay.
Yeah, as far as on like in person, there are way more people than that.
Oh yeah, no,
I missed the suit jacket. I'm gonna have to go back and look for that.
He dresses up pretty good, cleaned up pretty nice.
It is beyond an achievement. It's beyond impressive for a community to have 2 flash crashes on a Monday and a Tuesday. And then everybody is still, it's like big payday or something. Everybody just hops on the 24-hour live stream, even though the price just crashed like 80%. And everybody's happy, socializing, in it for the long term. And I've just been so impressed by this community, the energy that people brought to the online conference and in real life. In 45 cities across the U.S., people were going to see the Highest of Stakes documentary, which placed in number 19 in the box office nationwide.
It's huge.
So again, congrats to all of us who have been coming together.
Yep. And don't forget, it's like, that's a huge metric. I mean, to be in the top 20 on an opening weekend is a gigantic accomplishment. But one of the metrics that they really weigh heavily is what the drop-off is. So many of those cities didn't sell enough tickets to carry over, but the ones that did, if you go to highestofstakes.com/screenings, you'll see the cities it's still playing in. So it's really important to, if you haven't seen the movie or if you know people that would, missed out and didn't get to see it this past weekend and it's still showing near you, get out and get some butts and seats and check it out, because those numbers are going to help with phase 2, which is us, getting the most eyeballs with your favorite streaming service.
I think we're going to have some incredible discussions tonight surrounding the movie and surrounding the community and game theory. So I know we've got a great show for people tonight.
They
of
added
the people on the
another
screen.
showing. Sorry, go ahead.
What's that?
What?
I was just gonna say they added another showing to my local theater for this
nice.
Saturday.
Well,
Nice.
Yeah, and there's maybe 15 cities across the U.S. where you'll be able to see it on Saturday. Now, of the people here on the screen, how many times have each of you seen it?
I saw it once. I wanted to see
ChrispyMan?
it twice. I wanted to see it again before I got on this episode, but I only got to see it once.
I saw it 3 times. Crispy didn't get to see it.
You
He
saw
got
it for me.
outvoted.
You saw
He
it
got
for me.
outvoted by his family. Apparently, it's like,
Yeah.
I would have trumped that. I would have
I
smacked.
do
the
have a
backseat
few notes.
as it was
I
going.
do have a few notes.
They saved me. They saved me, man. Can you imagine? So I'm with. So this is a bad week for me, man. Well, it was a good week. It was really good. It actually goes to your point, Maddie, about being happy in these times. It is kind of crazy. I went on vacation. I didn't open a computer for a week.
Nice.
And so that didn't mean I didn't look at my phone, but I didn't open my computer for a week. I had no keys. I'm not involved in anything. Everything's locked up, put away. Can't access anything. And boom.
Hey, ChrispyMan,
50%.
do you ever do that and then you think, how do people survive on just a phone? Because there's people without a laptop, without a computer, they just have their phone, and you're just like, how do these people survive? Like
the younger generation, man, able to manage it because I need like the screens,
Yeah.
So I was away. We had our 50%, 60% drop, man, and then the second drop, and I was away for the opening. I had tickets. I did buy tickets, by the way, for Charleston, but it was a 2.5-hour drive. Family outvoted me, and they were vindicated because that was the one place where they downloaded the wrong movie. And so while it would have been nice to drive to go see Ben and some other people there and other Hexicans, 5 hours, that probably would not have made me too happy. So I did miss that. But going to your point, Maddie, about crypto, if we take a big step back, we just look at the general kind of like Hexican approach to things. Long time horizons, dips are in the game. The more you experience them, the more practice you have, the more you realize that this is the case, the less something like this, the SEC dip or whatever you want to how you want to call it, matters. I mean, it still matters. I'm unhappy about the numbers. I don't like it. But I think we as a community are maturing and have a lot of mature individuals that understand this is crypto. This is how it works.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think a key thing that I really want to make sure people are aware of if they're not, and BitBoy actually brought this to my attention on his stream when he was talking about their bag that they have HEX and some other things in. It was right after the SEC announcement, maybe a day or 2, 3 days after. And he was like, it might be a situation where it's like we want to sell that and rebuy lower. And then he throws to like Jamie or whoever like his off-screen guy is, and was like, a good thing to kind of match it against is like what happened with XRP, like how'd their chart do like after their SEC announcement. So the guy gives him the information. He more or less discounts it or just blows it off, and then still kind of has this thing that there might be an opportunity. Now, it's like, I mean, I like some of the things that BitBoy has done, but I also kind of don't trust him a lot and really kind of feel like he could have been playing that angle of like wanting to buy it cheaper. So by him letting that FUD be out there, if there might be an opportunity to buy it cheaper, served him, right? But I went in and I looked at the chart, and it's like the XRP SEC announcement came on December 28th of 2020. I think it was 3.5 days later on January 1st, it hit 21 cents. It dropped like 50% or whatever. Then it had like a 50% rebound over the next week or so up to like 28 cents. Then what you'd think would be a death blow on January 19th, Coinbase delisted them. So you would think, well, that's a lower low, right? It's got to be a lower low, and it wasn't. They got the all-time low for them was 4 days after the SEC letter came out. Mm-hmm. And after that, they chopped and chopped and chopped until finally they were in the clear. And also something to consider, that is a way more complex case. That's why it took 3 years. I think, personally, total speculation, I think ours gets thrown out relatively quickly or resolved in one way or another relatively quickly because I think it's a simpler matter. And I think the case is pretty shoddily thrown together. So I'm super jacked on it. It's like I'm always excited to buy a dip. I'm not dissuaded in any means, not financial advice, but I was really happy to get back home and have access to my hardware wallets because like during all that traveling I couldn't buy, and it was like to me like prime time to like snap some more up. But yeah, long-term minded is the name of the game. And it's like, this might just kind of delay the progress, but it's like if you're looking at phase 2 of the movie with like streaming, looking at Q4, you're looking at that us getting that much closer to an actual bull run. Maybe this SEC stuff kind of shaken out of our hair.
I wanted to mention.
I think it's all lining up.
All right, hold
Man.
up. This is my channel. Y'all are talking about the SEC, right? Like, I would be very surprised if it would be that fast. I don't want to give people a bunch of like hopium to the vein, because look, we already have something that's great. And if people if two accounts want to sell it at a discount, and
I was
people
going to
buy
say,
it
man,
straight, it goes straight down and then straight back up.
That's good.
That's the
I
patient.
guarantee
from
you.
the impatient.
And it could
I
drag out
guarantee you,
for 3 years.
if Toby and I had our keys, we would have sold 1 billion more each Tuesday morning.
Sold or bought?
Sold.
Nah,
Sold it all.
But
Nah,
ChrispyMan, you said that you had problems at your theater, so you're lucky that you didn't go. I had problems at my theater too.
What's up with the lights, man? What happened with that?
It turned on the lights halfway through, and so I heard other theaters had problems too. And Toby, I wonder, can you guys like address that with the movie theaters? Like, it seems to me like there might be some like theater nerds trying to save 50 poor souls from a scam, and so they let's turn on the lights halfway through. Let's download the wrong movie and do a World War II Christian movie.
This sounds like some Sound of Freedom kind of conspiracy stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I heard things about like the air conditioning being turned off in those theaters and lights being
my place was uncomfortably warm.
Yeah.
I was
I
sat down. I'm like, man, I am.
I think they're older. They're older theaters.
Look, it's pretty obvious that Richard Hart was there in person, doing all these hoaxes on people, because it's part of his master plan. Haven't you heard? Like, everything is planned. It's like just so we would talk about it, and people would be outraged enough to like go to the movie again or something. So
that's
like maximum cope in this community. Like that's my impression.
He's like Santa Claus. He just moves with the time.
Right. I mean, I don't know. It's like typically in the United States, it's like Regal. And I hated like Big Pep. God love you, bro. But it's like he was talking about Regal being like dollar theaters. It's like, no, Regal's not that bad. It's like Regal's not like your upper echelon, like massaging recliners with like food service brought to your chair. But they're an older theater and they're generally pretty good shape. But depending on where you went, like the one in Miami,
one had big spacious seats. I think they reclined, and they had like little trays that come out in front of you.
There you go. See, like
nice.
Miami was like
it was
that.
really
Miami
clean.
was like
wow.
Mine are like that too. Yeah,
Austin was not like that, nor was Dayton. Those were like older seats, kind of like the fold down.
This isn't a Pee Wee Herman type theater.
Hold up though. We are literally not 13 minutes into the episode, and we're talking about like what the theaters were like. We just saw one of the best crypto movies. I'm sorry, the best crypto movie of all time. It was loaded with tons of like game theory and like good takes and bad takes. I titled the episode for this Game Theory Gang, "The Professor is in?" Question mark, exclamation mark, because Lamont Black has been blowing up Twitter.
I've seen that.
He has hit the reply. He's the reply guy like times 1,000, and all he wants to talk about is HEX. And
I know
he's professoring people. Okay.
Yes.
So this is like, imagine if Eric Wall like had a near-death experience and then became like a productive member of society. That's what Lamont Black is doing right now. He is educating by asking people questions. This is a very Socratic method to get other people to participate. And I didn't expect it at all. This is a plot twist. This is happening in real time. The story has come to life. I could have only hoped that would happen. This is a big deal. And
I think it was him meeting Big K in Chicago. Did you see that picture? He actually ran into Big K at the showing in Chicago, and maybe that was the tipping point for him.
We might have a chance to find out, because Lamont Black is so excited about HEX. he is going to start streaming with the Hex community.
What?
So
Nice.
there is a
That's
stream
confirmed?
scheduled. There's a stream scheduled, confirmed on Thursday at 3 p.m.
What?
Central with
With
Crypto
Crypto
Heartbeat.
Nice.
Okay.
I
Crypto
know,
Heartbeat.
I know Lamont's watching. So what's up? Shout out. How's it going, buddy? You're a great actor.
He did great. Great professor.
Awesome.
Very smart. Had good questions, and I love that he's going to be more open to like continuing the conversation, because I feel like there are elements that he doesn't, or at least in the movie, didn't fully understand yet. And if he's going to start streaming with Hexicans, he's going to get it. He's going to understand.
Okay.
He's smart.
No, he's like he's in, okay? And like the professor's in, right? Like let's
Nice.
go to work. Look, he was talking about giving away Hex to somebody who explained it the best to him.
Someone did.
Yeah.
He made
It
a
was- it
tweet.
was,
Did you see the tweet?
Yeah, it was the Hex Coyote, who
Yeah.
is a longtime viewer, I think, of this show. And
Yeah, that was a good tweet.
yeah, it was really good. But I'm telling you guys, like the way he's asking questions, I think he's trying to get the conversation going and trying to bring this back to life. Now, what do we know
Yes.
about Lamont Black other than he's a professor at DePaul University, has a background in economics. He is IRL friends with Kelly Richmond Pope, who is also an associate professor at DePaul. Well, what I discovered from looking into Professor Black's CV, curriculum vitae, is that he used to work for the Federal Reserve.
Really
What?
interesting.
The
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, dude. So it's getting real
All
interesting at this point.
I don't like this
Yeah,
guy
real
anymore.
interesting.
I like
Lamont.
well,
Used to.
You're my
I like
shit list.
I like some of what I'm seeing about him. I don't know much about this guy, but I would imagine I'm going to make some assumptions. He's a professor. He's been teaching, financial, economic related content. He's looked into Hex. Take him at his word that he's excited about Hex, right? In my mind, it's going to be a no-brainer for somebody like him who actually is intellectually honest. I'm assuming he is, right? To go, what do you mean? This fake money, this fake internet money is better than that other fake internet money, right? I mean, if when you get into this made up internet money thing, once you believe in crypto, I don't know how you can't believe that Hex is going to be successful.
I would, maybe I mischaracterized. He is still playing the role of the critic, of the critic and the protagonist. However, I am starting to think, because of his Socratic questioning and because he's hitting the reply over and over and over again, encouraging Hexicans with their attempt to explain. It's like a professor when he's like trying to teach a student like how to make a better argument. You encourage them and then tell them how it could be better. And I see basically on Twitter, there's a tab that you can go to called replies, and you can see where somebody has replied, whereas normally it doesn't show up on their timeline. And I would highly recommend that as a way to try to look into the in real time psychology of the character who played the greatest critic, the greatest protagonist in the highest of stakes. Is he's like interacting with the community. He there's going to be more to this story. The story is unfolding as we speak. And he also he posted a question. Sami put up like a 12-minute video, and then Lamont retweeted the video, basically saying like, "Oh, great job explaining, Sami. Like, here are more questions I have about why Hex is or isn't a closed loop system." So, look, I am really trying to get him on an interview with me because I know how to deal with professors. I almost became a professor, and
I'm sorry.
he's been getting a lot of requests for interviews, but I'm going to do my best to reach out to him because I think that I could give him a different perspective.
Hey,
I think so.
if it helps at
wish
all,
me luck
telling him
there.
that if it helps at all, telling him that one of the producers would be on a panel, feel free to use me, and I'll just shut up and let you do the interview. But if it gets him through
Right
the
on,
gates,
dude. Thanks. Yeah.
sure, yeah. You never know what'll
He
work.
was really excited about the movie. I saw one of his tweets. He said he was bringing like 20 of his friends.
Yep.
He did. Yeah.
So that
To
was
Chicago.
cool.
So DePaul's in Chicago, Illinois.
Yep.
Yeah. So
That's exciting.
okay. So
And no,
I saw
and
the
no
movie 3
spoilers.
times.
You saw it 3
I saw
times.
the movie
Cool.
3 times. It blew my mind every time. The third time was the best. Third time's the charm. I stayed in Austin an extra day so that I could see it a third time. There's so much going on in the movie. It's a must see. It's, action packed. When I saw it the second and third time, it opened me up to notice more things and to connect more dots. There's so much game theory going on there. And there's a few takeaways, but why don't you guys tell me some of your takes first off?
Well, I was gonna say no spoilers, but it's like if anyone's seen the movie, what I found charming and delightful was that the Lamont's counterpoint, Kelly Richmond Pope, it seemed pretty obvious, like relatively early on, like she was very interested in Hex, like as potentially an investor, And I have heard through the grapevine that like once it was all said and done, she is now a Hexican. I can't confirm that, but it's like that's the rumor. But that was really fun to watch. That her eyes kind of opened to the potential, and she was the one that was the fraud investigator, right? So that was pretty interesting. But yeah, seeing it multiple times, I would definitely recommend.
I heard the words of Kareem come out of her mouth.
Right? Yeah, totally.
So when you go to see the movie again, look for that because it's cool.
Did you say something about a dream wallet?
Too many jokes coming to mind, man.
It was a little bit. It was a little bit more subtle
nice.
than that, but
right. Yeah, I would recommend seeing it more than once if you get a chance, because it's like I mean even me, it's like I saw early cuts of the film, I saw the final version before like everything kind of got put on hold, and then we added all the PulseChain stuff, and even I like on that third watching picked up on additional things, So it's like it's just
I heard there's a lot
really
of
cool
stuff that you can pick up on your second watching, so.
Yes.
I wanted to see it, like I said, twice before I really talked about it, but here I am.
Is it? Did you say it was carrying over in your market, Briz?
Yeah. They got another showing on Saturday.
Cool. You gonna check it out?
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
It's such a pain in the butt to drive out the Corona.
Oh, gotcha.
And
yeah, if it was
so
local
hot.
here,
my car doesn't have a hood or an AC. Well, it has a hood now, but it still doesn't have AC.
Well, it's worth it to see it again. I was surprised that I got so much out of it the third time. I didn't think that would be the case, but it was definitely the case.
So I guess I'll kind of go since ChrispyMan hasn't seen it. I thought the positives were I like the cinematography. It was really well filmed and it looked pretty cool. The 90 minutes went by very fast, and I thought it had a lot of like interesting characters. That's about the positives for me. Now I need to rewatch it again, really, take in more stuff. But honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of this movie. I walked out of the movie theater not bullish on Hex. You know what I mean? I felt kind of like, it left it to me, maybe because I know so much about Hex, it kind of left a bad impression on me and my psyche, and I really don't want to send new people to this movie as a like, hey, come check out this thing about Hex. Go ahead, Toby. You're muted.
Perfect. That's great. I appreciate the honest perspective. there was a tweet that somebody put out. I can't remember who it was exactly, but they were saying how they took like a group of people. I can't remember how many, maybe 10, maybe 20, and a chunk, like some of them were hexagons and some of them were no coiners. And that he, being a hexagon himself, was also kind of disappointed because it's like, I think some of us went in wanting to be more amped about it as almost like a promotional piece. Me being involved with it, that got whittled out of me over time because I understood we had to take the middle path. You know, it had to be unbiased. We had to speak to no coiners like in a language that they could understand, and we had to keep the tension going, right? Because like the whole premise of the movie was, is this a scam or is this the best financial opportunity of a lifetime, right? So they couldn't really lean too hard in one direction. So I can understand from a hexagon perspective how you could come away feeling like that. And the guy that did this tweet also came away feeling like that. However,
so the way I feel about it
Yep.
is that
hang on.
wasn't. Go ahead.
Well, so the telling thing about his tweet is he said all the no coiners he brought in were all super jazzed to go buy Hex. So
I've heard the same sentiment.
Yeah, so to me, it's like perfect. It's like that was the market we were after. Like that's the people we wanted to get intrigued about it.
So before I lose my track
please
of thought, to me, I really didn't think it was all that balanced. I thought that it went from one extreme to the other extreme. And I just kind of thought it kind of made our community look like clowns a little bit. I thought it made our community look like unsophisticated investors, where you got the one guy, you know, at the end of the movie's all, this guy thinks he's gonna be a billionaire. And he's dressed up like a fucking pirate, and you know, and he's like laughing at his friend that bought the top. Like there's that one scene where they're sitting on the porch and like RG3 is looking at his buddy. He's like, man, you bought the top. And then he just starts laughing at him. I was like, geez, guys, make him look like a fucking jerk. And then they go to the conference, you know, and they show like the old people. He's like, I'm about to die, and I've invested everything in this thing. And the other guy's like,
that was in Copenhagen. But they also showed the Hex conference. But go on. I like this because I have a counterpoint to all of it, but I want to hear you.
And then they had the one guy. He's like, "How long until I get rich?" You know, like the like stupidest question.
He said 10,000 Hex.
Yeah, he's like, I got 10,000 Hex. How long until I'm rich?
Which was 5,000. Which was like at one point $5,000, right?
So, that's just a couple points. The biggest thing that really got me though, where was the big yellow truck? Huh? Where was that thing? I saw Richard driving a big yellow truck in the trailers, and I didn't get to see that in the movie. And I want to know where it went.
You got to subscribe for $20 a month to.
I do have more points that I really don't, you know, that I thought were negatives, but if you want to address any of the stuff I've already talked about first.
Yeah. Let's go back and forth. Because I furiously took notes like the second and third time that I was watching the movie, because, you know, I wanted to figure out what I was thinking and put it all into context. So first of all, I remember when the directors came into the Hex community, because I was terrified of them. And I told them this when I interviewed them. I was terrified of these guys. Do you guys know why I was terrified?
Why?
Because Freddie Quotes had me dancing on a used casket, man.
Yeah,
like
true.
That's not me.
No,
it was.
That was like PTSD from all the furus and like our cathartic therapy for that, right? Which was like totally out of context to the rest of the world.
That's it. That's like everyone calling us a scammer, and we're like, look, we won. So we're winning. So
we are nuts. First of all, we are a cult. We are embarrassing. And if we want to work on that behavior, then we should do that. But these movie guys told it like it was. And the other good news is that, right, because Hex still did a 10,000X when we were all acting like clowns. second of all, the movie guys, they only witnessed the price of HEX going down forever. This has been the longest bear market in the history of crypto. Now, how the hell did they still tell a relatively balanced story when they literally haven't ever seen anybody get in and not like lose money? Well, it's just because their timing was bad, right? They timed the perfect point where they came in and got a story of Mikey buying it 41 cents. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about Mikey buying at 41 cents, because I did the math on the screen and it said that Mikey sacrificed, I assume for Pulse, at basically he had put $100,000 in, right? And like, you know, his wife, she's representing the archetype of every woman who has, you know, who's like with a man in crypto, like they don't get it. And if that's not acknowledged,
he couldn't have think about the timeline. If he bought at 41 cents, he could not have sacrificed for Pulse, because that 41 cents happened after the Pulse sacrifice was over. So he would have been sacrificing for Pulse X.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a good point. And basically, like basically, you did have people like Mikey though who did sacrifice for Pulse. And the example that I'm just trying to give is like, if somebody put $100,000 in, and then it dropped all the way to $30,000, and they sacrificed for Pulse. Pulse did a 3.5x, so they would have been in profit. The fact that that there was a way for people to, you know, like get rid of their HEX, like basically, you couldn't have sold $1.7 billion worth of HEX, right, at the top, because the liquidity was 32 million. So just the fact that there was a sacrifice and that people really were willing to like have it all be gone, you know, like when you send something in crypto, it's gone. Like you don't have any rights to it anymore. And so, you know, the point I'm trying to make is that people who sacrificed ended up doing really well, even if they bought the top. And so that's an exciting thing to be able to come back with. You know, it's now I don't have the PLSX chart memorized, but how high did that go before, like in the first week of the chain launching? Was it 50% up or something?
Yeah,
100% up.
It didn't do 100%. I know that 50% up sounds about right, above SAC rate.
Okay.
But SAC rate being 3 zeros and a 1, right? The 10,000 to 1 thing. So
yeah,
depending on where he sacrificed and if he was in a pool or whatever and how high up the rankings he was, he could have got considerably lower than that 3 zeros and a 1. So he could have done it. He could have done a double. He could have doubled or maybe 2.5 times his money.
Yeah, which means that he could have been very close to being in profit when the rest of the market was still down 50%. You know, if he had bought Bitcoin or anything. Now, another argument I would make is that I don't know anybody who didn't buy a top when they got into crypto. Richard Hart bought a top when he got into crypto. He bought Bitcoin for $30 and it fell down to the $2. All of us who got in 2017, you know, bought Bitcoin for, my average was 13,000 or 15,000, and then it dropped down to 3,800, right?
I put a lot of money in at 40 cents. HEX.
Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
So, and it dropped from 50 to 40.
HEX.
I'm like, hell yeah.
Okay. So, I thought you were talking about Bitcoin. I'm like, really, Briz? You're gonna flex on us like that? You bought Bitcoin at 40 cents?
Oh yeah. So the story of Mikey and Remy becomes much more powerful if it's as real as it is for all of us, where we all bought the top when we got into crypto, then we got down super bad. We either dollar cost averaged or didn't, and then crypto didn't go away. So that particularly excited me because it's real, and it's I see it playing out. I see that story not going away. When Trevon James mischaracterized, well, in my opinion, he mischaracterized Mikey, he posted on Twitter and got 800,000 impressions. This was before the movie came out. So this story of Mikey is, I think, it's going to continue to evolve over time.
Yep. Also, something to consider, Briz, is like I had a similar reaction to that porch scene. It was like, ooh, it's like that's hardcore, bro. It's like your buddy did buy the top, and he's kind of wrecked in that instance.
And he's
But
just
I was
laughing
taking
at
it.
him.
But I was taking it in the context of like having, a number of relationships in my life like that, where there's bros of mine that just will bust my balls relentlessly, but they won't do it. It's like if something terrible happened and my dog died or something, they're not going to make light of that. So if there's something where they know that there's still like light at the end of the tunnel, they will most certainly bust my balls, because it's like they know it's not like complete utter chaos and doom. So I think, for me, I was kind of putting it in that context where like RG's like, yeah, you bought the top, you dumbass, but now it's
So
just a matter of waiting, and we're going to
my
be fine.
problem with it is that, like, here's another thing I had an issue with, was like, I don't really blame the filmmakers for not understanding market cycles, because like I've been in crypto since 2013 and I'm barely kind of understanding market cycles, to tell you the truth. So I don't really blame the filmmakers for not understanding market cycles, since they just got into crypto and like they're just learning everything and they're learning about hex. But it would have been nice to show that the price of everything goes down, and then the price of everything kind of rises with each other as well.
Well,
Because
they
this
did
isn't
they
just
covered
a
that
hex. It
but they
isn't
covered
just
that in the
a
movie,
hex thing. See, like I
that's
said,
what.
I need to watch it twice.
Yeah, that's what
I
I'm saying.
feel
Like a
like
second.
that wasn't
Yeah,
really a
Well,
well pointed out part of the movie, because I don't even remember that.
in Richard's interview with Lamont and Kelly, he goes over that very thing about how like everything dumps 85-90%, and like he articulates it pretty clearly.
Yeah,
I want to
Richard
thank
says it.
Brisology. I want to thank Brisology, because part of the point of this show and what makes it great is when we all disagree. I remember in Quant Gang, like going into the sacrifice, all four of us had different takes. Like, how can you have four opposites? We found a way, right? And so that's extremely valuable to the viewers, and it makes for great discussion. So, let's keep this debate going.
Oh yeah,
So I think it would
like
have been a lot nicer, or at least just if they could have maybe just shown, I don't know, like some kind of illustration when Richard is maybe talking about, hey, everything dips, 85%. Instead of just looking at him say those words, maybe
like
some
show a
kind of
Bitcoin chart.
visualization of
Right.
all the things kind of going down with each other. Because I didn't feel like that was very prominent in the movie.
Well, and then there was the news clippings. Remember, they showed the news anchors talking about everything crashing. So that's where like a second watch, I think, is really good, because there is so much information, and there are probably things about it that were a little underwhelming for you, or like kind of left you wanting more, that were addressed, or and maybe balance it out a little more. But the thing that I kept telling myself, because like the first couple times I watched like early runs of it, I was a little aggravated, to be frank. It's like I wanted it to be like more pro hex without like tipping the balance of trying to be unbiased. And I felt like it was a little too harsh. And it's like I wanted it to explain more, but it's like, these guys are professionals. And as I kind of like got on board with what their vision was, it made sense, because it's like you need to keep the suspense there. You need to keep it from being like the Coinbase movie, which was basically just like a 2-hour promotion for Brian Armstrong.
It was a Coinbase.
And it sucked. Whereas this one, it's like it has a story arc. It has like real life people in it, like the emotions that are around, investing in something that seems like internet quarters, and what that can do to a family. And it's like Mikey was like legit scared. Like we had a little Q&A after the premiere in Miami, and someone asked a question about like Mikey's reaction, like, was that real, like with his wife? And they're like, yeah. It's like if you watch the movie and you see the SUV pulling in, like a transition scene, he goes, that's her coming home. Mikey's at the computer having just purchased $100,000 worth of hex at the top when she walks in. So that's very real.
One big market buy,
and if you look at
galore.
And if you see it again, you'll see Mikey break the fourth wall. He literally looks over at the directors, like at the filmmakers, and is like, I think I feel like I'm walking into a divorce right now.
Well,
And he
don't tell my
literally
wife.
looks off camera at them, because it was an actual real reaction, So
ChrispyMan, did you want to add anything to this?
since you didn't see the film,
I don't know. Someone in the comments is saying, "Hey, let ChrispyMan."
Well, I had a couple. I had a couple things.
Let ChrispyMan talk about something he didn't see.
So I just wanted to make sure you got your voice in too.
Well, I just want to argue with Maddie. That's all. I'm going to just fight him. When we talk about, I'm joking, Maddie. I'm joking.
Let's fight.
Fight.
You talk about this. Why is it that we don't talk about things like? You notice how we kind of sometimes we're talking to people, we don't talk about price go down.
Yes.
I mean, I know that I try to talk about it because I make it a point. I don't think it's very popular. To talk about price goes down. Yeah, because you're the man. But as you guys are talking about this, I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is this crypto thing anyways? Do we believe in this long term, like forever? Like crypto is going to accumulate value? That's a question for people. And
I do.
And if you do believe in that, then it's got to normalize itself, which means it's going to go up and down, right? It's going to fluctuate with the speculation. And so then, this is part of the game, always, right?
I have a slightly different take on that. I think that the only game is people get onboarded from green candles. I think that nothing else matters. I think that all my experience tells me that new people especially don't come in until there are green candles. And so the question becomes, is crypto good enough that it should still exist, even if people only buy tops at first? And I would argue that, yes, self-sovereignty and having control over the future supply and an economic policy that matters, being able to having freedom to transact and move and everything, that these are all so important, so valuable things that I don't feel bad that I bought the top when I got in. I don't feel bad that Richard bought the top when he got in, and I shouldn't feel bad that Mikey bought the top when he got in, because if you don't buy the top, you don't get in.
Right.
There's some logic to that, right? Because that's experiential, right? I mean, until you go through it, you don't believe it. Until you see it repeat, you don't believe it repeats, right? I mean, so that all makes sense.
Well, we had unique factors at that time too, because PulseChain was weeks away. You were going to get copies, so that was definitely a factor and like hanging on, right?
I put all my house money in. What do you? It's weeks away.
It's coming.
It was coming. Weeks. It's just like 130 weeks.
Dude, had that carrot not been dangled, I wouldn't have bought at 39 cents.
Going back to the movie, I just thought that they could have used, I thought they could have shown more middle ground stories about people here in the center. Maybe people like the four of us that are on screen right now, the ones that aren't super rich but aren't like super wrecked. Because I felt like that was the two extremes. It was like, here's RG3, he thinks he's going to be a billionaire. Here's Mikey, he bought the top.
But that's how it is, and people need to know that that's how it is, so that their expectations
there's also people that bought in at 20 cents.
We suffered so much, even getting in HEX day 1 or day 3.
I listen. I don't want to tell people not to come in. So don't get it wrong, but really the play at a certain point is, if you were going to be making a decision, you don't buy tops. You wait the year and a half, and this is what's hard.
Yeah, right? But you don't know when the top is the top. At the time, we all thought HEX was going to $1.
Thought
HEX was going to $1.
I was on that train. We're going to $10. Yep.
I don't know about 10, but I know
whatever,
it was $1.
It was going higher.
Then if it's going to go to $1, 50 cents is a great buy-in opportunity.
Yeah, I think you're right, because in terms of, we don't know if cycles are real, except we've seen them in the past, and we don't know if these indications that we fall out of parabolas are real, and we don't know if we're going to have repeats. I mean, all these things are true. But I wonder what my answer is going to be to somebody when we're at $2 hex and it's April of 25. What's my advice? Hey, buddy,
I remember
put
when
a
I
pin in
got
it and hold on to your cash for a year and a half and buy the bottom, right?
when I was
Or
doing all
dabble a little
my
bit.
when I was doing all my onboarding, we had just hit 3 cents, and we had skyrocketed from a third of a penny up to
Mhm.
3 cents. And I remember telling my friends, I'm like, hey guys, we just went up like 100x or something. I'm like, this, I don't know if this is a good time to get in. And then people got in, and we went up to 56 cents. So that was
Because
my
everybody was
personal.
waiting to get in because they thought that a penny was too high or the 3 pennies were too high. And so they
Yeah.
waited to get in until 30 cents because people like buying green candles.
Right.
Exactly.
And it kind of goes back to your point. And by the way, somebody very intelligent gave us a lot of good information that says, hey, you need to have longer time frames in mind. You need delay gratification, and you can DCA. That's the best way to go in. And so if you were thinking that way, then buying when Briz was talking about it, right? You would have been staking, mining. You would have gone out with a ladder, and you would have been thinking not one cycle, but 2 cycles from now, 3 cycles from now, however you want to define that, right, is when you're going to be reaping the rewards, right?
Sticker guy bought the top, and he's still here helping to run the conference and participating. There are people like him that I see, and they've only ever seen the price go down, and they still believe because they have the long-term perspective, because they connect the dots of, okay, Richard bought the top, Maddie bought the top, everybody bought the top, and what do you want to do?
Somebody
Not
buys the
participate?
top.
Mhm.
All right.
Well, I think the answer I would have, I think in this discussion, right, for the people who tune into this, you guys are chosen, right? You ladies and gentlemen are chosen to get the true skinny. Buy before the price goes up, all right? Because
Well,
other people are going to come after you and buy the tops.
well, even in the
And
movie, Richard says, and had you seen it, Crispy, you would know this.
I didn't
Yeah,
see
I know.
it.
But he
Nice
said, he
one.
was like, people came to him and were like, why didn't you tell me to buy harder? It's like, that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like at the
Yeah, I
bottom,
know.
it is a little difficult to onboard, in the bottom, but it is, historically the best time to buy is when there's blood in the streets and, when there's
Like
the
I
highest amount of
haven't
speculation.
I haven't onboarded anyone in like the last 6 months. Like no one
Yeah.
wants to get in the crypto right now.
Hey,
Whereas
can we talk
before
about
at 3 cents, everyone was pounding on my door to get in.
Yeah.
Can we talk about what a black eye it's been to onboarding in general by not having a functional staker app? It's like I'm super disappointed with like how that's gone because it's like, I really like Steph and what they did for the community early on, but it's like I had ample opportunity, and staker app was such an easy way to onboard people in the early days because it's like, for no coiners, you give them a referral link, boom, they sign up if you want
Now
to
we
send
got
them a
Go
little. So
Pulse.
yeah, and it's like GoPulse is like making strides toward that, but it's like I don't know that they have an app in the works, but an app is where we need to be. Like if we had a rock
I
solid
heard
app
Hex
to do this stuff.
Scout is going to be the new staker app.
Cool. Yeah, somebody, needs to fill that void because it's like I think that's so much of it because if we're talking about onboarding and like helping people get in easily, a good crafted app. I mean, you're
User
competing against
interface.
Yeah, it's Robinhood and Coinbase wallet like you're competing with, right? It's like, those types of things, that's what no coiners are comfortable with. And if you have something like that still has a proper security element, then I'd be all for it, right? And it would be so much easier because I'm sure I could have onboarded tons of people over my travels over the last few weeks. Had I had Staker app, it would have been way easier. But it's like I don't have confidence in
It's
onboarding to Staker app anymore.
it's like it's likely something like that, Toby. I was thinking about that after we talked about it. It's got to be more centralized than we would define for DeFi, probably. And that causes that kind of leans in that kind of direction. But I get you, right? I mean, I've sent more than one note over to Robinhood saying, "Hey, offer Hex, right?" But I mean, how else would you do it It's problematic because you have to have inventory, and if you can, meaning tokens, right? And that means you need to have financial backing, and you've got to have double-sided accounting, and then now everybody's got a KYC. I get you though. I think the same thing. Like it should be just as easy for me to go to, because I can go to Robinhood. I bought more Ethereum today on Robinhood. I do it every day because I DCA, right? But and I'm not promoting Robinhood, by the way. It's just one path into PulseChain because I can go from there to the bridge and then. But yeah, I mean that's the kind of ease we need, right? I mean that's what I want to see, and it's going to come. It's going to come. Look at how things have gotten in just this very short period of time. It was 3 years ago. I didn't even know what the hell a DEX was. I was playing around with
No one
what the
did.
hell was that? What was that? What was that site that I was on that was
Ether Delta.
Dan built? No, it was the other one. I can't even remember now. It had a whole bunch of tokens. It was like one of the first ones. Larimer built it, I believe, back in the day. Anyways, it doesn't matter. But I didn't even know what the hell a Uniswap was until it came out. I mean, I went into HEX. I didn't even know how to buy HEX because there's nowhere to buy HEX. That's how early we were into HEX. There was no market.
Hell yeah.
It was only
There was
the AA.
only the adoption amplifier.
Yeah, and now we're sitting here going like we're lamenting over the fact that you have to put the contract number into Uniswap to actually do the swap,
So
whatever.
my next issue with the movie.
If you hold up, so if you bought Bitcoin at a penny, you had to send a money order to Japan.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I believe it.
So it's never easier to onboard early, but that leaves more upside and more potential. So yeah, I think that there is light at the end of the tunnel when it comes to people in the community building easier ways for people to get into this kind of stuff. I know that I used GoPulse.com for the first time to buy some Pulse because I didn't want to because I was giving away my seed words. We'll talk about that later in the show, but I didn't want people to bang my wallets, and so they have a tool that's similar to Change Now, where you send ETH and then they send you Pulse. So I got like $100 of it that way, and it was incredibly easy.
Cool.
Just going from Coinbase, just hit the send button in Coinbase and get your Pulse to show up in the MetaMasks. Brisology, your next criticism, or Toby?
My next
criticism
of the
movie. I want to hear Briz continue to rail on the movie.
Yeah,
I know, because you guys keep trying to switch the subjects.
I didn't like.
We are having full discussions, and we're gonna keep coming back to the criticisms that you have of the movie, and we'll share.
The next part that I didn't really like about the movie was there wasn't. I mean, there was the one little clip in the very beginning where Richard's like, the Richard you see in the movie isn't me. He's dead. I'm humble Richard now. And it's like
he released that separate from the movie, but yeah, that was.
But they played it at the beginning of the movie as well, if I remember right. And so it's like, all right, like I think when people watch that little clip in the very beginning, especially no coiners, they don't really understand like what he's even talking about.
It's not in the movie. You saw it on Twitter.
Corona? Yeah, you saw it on Twitter, bro. That was only shown at the premiere in Miami.
Really?
And then, yep. Yeah,
really?
It wasn't in theaters, really.
Well, then that makes it an even bigger problem, because my problem was that there's no explanation for his flashiness.
Watch the movie
what
again.
What did I say? They just had Richard being like outrage marketing, and like he's having like dinner with all those chicks, and like I didn't really quite understand what that had to do with anything. Like, who were these girls that he's having dinner with and he's like celebrating? I mean, are those the devs? Is he celebrating with the devs? Why did he hire 6 escorts to have dinner at this like weird villa? So the problem
was a
with
chateau,
with the chateau. My bad. It's French. He's not in Italy. He was in France. My bad.
Chateau de Hart.
But I thought like the movie didn't really do a good job explaining why he's acting like a clown. You know, I really didn't feel like it really explained hey, I'm doing outrage marketing. Now,
So
he may have said something at one point, but
did.
again, like it was just a couple words, and it obviously didn't sink in with me.
You were too
So-
triggered. You couldn't hear it. You couldn't hear the explanation.
he,
You were so outraged yourself.
Well, I just,
What-
it's just go ahead.
what
I'm
I
just busting your
observed,
balls, dude.
what I observed is that there was a time when Hexicans were like telling Richard, "Come on, man, knock it off. Like, what are you doing? You know, I realize you're doing outrage marketing, but I don't agree with it." For me, I was like, "Come on, I'm trying to onboard like my Southern Baptist relatives, and I can't." Right. But so in the movie, what I see is these two like dipoles basically that are being created over and over again. So the first question is this performance art or is this real? The next question, are Hexicans desperate or are they engaged? Right? Do you trust people or do you trust code? Is Hex different than a Bitcoin or is it the same? RH starting out poor, is that good or is that bad? Right? This is what sets up the scene for people choosing two opposites. And here's my prediction: the movie's going to go away, so you better go see it this weekend. It's going to disappear for a while, and then it's going to pop back up later on in a really, really, really big way, because it's going to, whether it's on a stream, whether we have to suck a middleman D and get on a streaming service, or if there's some more crypto approach to it of like, you know, mailing QR codes to like, you know, the richest cities in the world or something, like whatever the mechanism is for getting the movie out there, you know, making subscriptions on Twitter or something, whatever it is. I think that if there are ever a series of green candles in the future for Hex or Pulse or PulseX or Incentive Token, right? I think the movie's going to hit way different, because I think I think seeing it at the end of the longest bear market in crypto history is a different vibe than going into the movie seeing like, oh my gosh, Hex is in the top 3 cryptos of all. You know, like Hex's market cap is about to flip Ethereum. Now you go see the highest stakes. What are you going to think? It's going to flip your perspective of, I think, a lot of it. I could be wrong. We'll see. You know, we're all going to be here for 15 years watching this play out. So, now there was another take that I had. So a lot of people asked me after the show, they were like, "Hey, Maddie, are you mad because the fraud investigator said that the Hex conference was a yellow flag?" I had my friends in the theater next to me, like, "Oh, Maddie, you're dancing on screen right now," like blah blah blah, right? And all my friends were really proud of me, even though I was only like in the film like for 3 seconds the whole time, right?
I thought getting a yellow flag was like a positive, like, hey, at least it's not red.
That's the thing. So when I look at what she actually said, she said that she was expecting it to be more lavish, or that it would have an aspirational feeling. And the reason she gave it a yellow flag is because it was low key. Now, I can tell you, I take much pride in this, because the fact that I organized a $250,000 conference, broke even on it, accepted no sponsorships, had no experience running a conference before, did not get fleeced by the mafia in Las Vegas, which like every conference center in the world is like basically a criminal organization that extorts committee members to like pay more than they can afford on the conference space. Brisology,
You also didn't have anyone on the screen going, "My wife thinks it's a scam." What are you gonna do, or what am I gonna do?
You're right. I didn't.
You know, so that was a
But I
positive.
think we had like 80 speakers. It was a 4-day conference. It was in person. Lunch was included. You got the whole thing for $369, which is like a third of the price of a Bitcoin conference that's half as long. I mean, I am so proud of myself. And what's more is I think it's an example of what DeFi really is. It's just everyday people coming together and wanting to volunteer and not wanting to sell out, right? Like I could have forced a bunch of projects, or I really couldn't, right? Because like it's not in my ethos to be like trying to sell out the audience. And that's the difference. When I went to the Bitcoin conference in 2021, they gave me sunglasses that said FTX all over it, right? Because FTX paid them and people got wrecked that way because they were like, look at my cool sunglasses. I'm going to go put all my money on FTX and lose it, right? So that didn't have, Hex user unaffected. And it's okay that she didn't get it. It's okay that she didn't realize that this was just your like neighborhood substance abuse therapist that was like putting on this massive conference for 555 people, which by the way still holds the record for the largest Hex meetup of all time. I designed the logos myself for that because somebody tried to extort me when I paid them for it in the past. Like we saw after the Hex conference, somebody else ran a conference and they like scammed everybody and ran away with like $500,000. So it's okay that she called it low key because that was the point.
My next issue with the movie was what do you think of that, Toby? What do you think of that? My next issue with now I realize this is kind of a movie about Hex and not necessarily PulseChain, but they didn't address any of the builders who are expanding the PulseChain ecosystem. That is like they're almost building the underlying infrastructure that's going to make this an everlasting thing. So I thought that was kind of a letdown. And then here's another thing too, and I kind of got mixed emotions about this one. All right. So one of my problems with modern day movies is that they show the whole damn ass movie in the trailer. Right? You watch a trailer, you don't need to go see a movie half the time. But with the highest of stakes, is almost like the trailer got
The
me
first 5
really.
minutes, there was a lot of overlap between the 15 minutes of trailer of previews and the first 5
Well, I
minutes of the
don't know
movie.
anything
I
about
also
the.
noticed that. I
Yeah,
noticed
I'm
that
not
too.
talking about the previews, but I'm talking about like the trailer.
just the trailer.
Like it got me really hyped up. I'm like, oh man, I really want to see this. I felt really positive, and then like almost none of the footage in the trailer actually made it to the movie, which I almost kind of think that's kind of cool because it's like you're not gonna get any of the movie spoiled in the trailer. But at the same time, it kind of felt like a bait and switch where, like I said, I got really hyped up on the trailer and then I saw the movie. I'm like, it was kind of a letdown for me.
It sounds like you're hungry for more.
I want there to be a part two,
Well, then
but
there you
then
go.
again, I don't know if I want there to be a part two. If they're just going to make us look like a bunch of kooky old people asking Richard, I got 10,000 hex. When am I going to be rich?
Well,
Like,
I imagine
dude,
if
that
there
was
is a
real.
sequel, I imagine if things go the way that we think they're going to go, and there's a sequel, and that takes time, so maybe 2025,
you
right?
know,
Or if there's an episodic that comes out after it, I would imagine if
2027.
things go the way that we think they're going to go, there's going to be revisiting a lot of these people, maybe even that older guy who all of a sudden his 5,000. Let's assume that he bought at the top and he put $5,000 in and thought it was going to make him super wealthy. Maybe we're now at a new all-time high. He got his copy on PulseChain, and he's like at least doubled his money at that point. So I think that there's a possibility in a sequel if everything goes the way I hope, which is the SEC thing blows over, we come full force into a bull, we reach all-time highs, and then that aspect is shown. I think it'll be very different.
Are you guys telling me you don't think there's going to be a new all-time high in crypto?
No, I'm saying there's gonna be. I think that's the
I
way
think
it's gonna
so.
go. Yeah, and then it's
So
like
I
that,
don't.
and then if that's what's documented, then it'll be
I know
more
there
along
will
the
be.
lines of what Briz wants, which is like more of the upside and the good stuff. Because right now, you got to think about where we are. It's like Hex is down 98%. PulseChain did just launch. We are under investigation by the SEC. It's like there's a lot of gloom and doom that's kind of like hovering. I see that as opportunity. I think in the long term, if we're gonna like walk the walk, then we're going to be there when the good days return. And if that's documented, that'll be in the movie, right?
I think that this was a movie that happened when the longest bear market in crypto history was happening, and so I think that the sequel will show a sharp contrast. But the story that was told was extremely accurate.
I agree.
I'm living.
But I can understand. But I understand. I mean, not. But I don't want to discount Briz's discontent with
correct
his perspective.
Correct.
Yeah, it's like I mean, I think
a lot of people
it's very valid.
Way.
I feel like there's a lot of people that felt that way. Absolutely.
You're being too nice to.
But I think that if you put it, if
he only saw it once, he's not a true hexagon.
Yeah, Crispy's not seen it at all, so I don't even know why Crispy's still on here. It's like, should we be muted or
you dirty fudders?
I feel like that's
I just
why
don't
it's
like
important
the way
to see it more than
they
once.
represented the community, because I felt
that was. I mean, if I was in it, like I think I would have felt more strongly.
I never even seen those people. I felt like they didn't show any of the real streamers. I mean, I guess they showed a little bit of crypto coffee, but they didn't really show like the backbone of the community, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, you got.
And so the best part, people get to come see in real life.
I have to agree. I have to agree with you, Bruce. I didn't see the movie, but just from what I know of the people who were in it and what I've seen for the reviews, I'm thinking the same thing. Like, you're not in it, and who's more central to the Hex story than you?
Brisology, yeah.
Briz, right? Exactly.
Briz.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't want to be in a movie.
He should have been on the.
Now, see,
too bad. Now the truth comes out.
Somebody had to make creative choices about how to build the movie and to make it something in their vision that's useful. But this is entertaining and resellable. This is all DeFi though, right? So, I appreciate your opinion. I do. But it can all be true. All that could be true. What you say can be true for good criticism, and we get more movies that you won't like.
So. Hex Farmer, that's not true at all. You're spreading lies.
I heard you swapped it for Bitcoin Hex.
I'm not even going to go there.
I've got a criticism of the Hex community. Right? Because like the biggest takeaway that people that I took to the movie said was, this makes us look like a cult. Okay.
Yeah.
And guess what? We do have a very specific culture. ChrispyMan has talked in the past about something called storming and norming, which do you want to break that down for a second, ChrispyMan? Because I think it's an important idea that will relate to some information I'm going to present.
Our cult is better than their cult.
That's right. Well, if you think about it, you can think of it this way. So groups of people, right, when they form bonds. We have a group of people. We have a common kind of belief system. You can see that in Hexaco, we had that. It was very strong. Now, there are a lot of people that were maybe undercover with that and maybe didn't 100% agree, but the voices were strong enough that we had a pretty formidable, solid culture. And like everybody, right, when a group like that disbands, everybody goes through different phases of change and grief and all this other stuff, and then the group reforms. And so we've gone through that. We're not done with it. And I don't know what the end game looks like, but it's likely our community, as we describe it, is not going to look like the old community. There's probably be subsets of the community that look like the old community, but you just can't have everything, right? Meaning in a group of people, because we're not capable as a tribe of people to really
Yes.
manage this, to be both traders and hodlers and miners and stakers and true to one token but trading 30 tokens. You just can't do all of that. So we have a fine mess on our hands at the moment, because we have to do the storming and norming, which is new groups of people come together. Maybe we're at 200,000 people. I hear people talking about 20,000 people, 100,000 people, where before we were half that. These are all new people. Well, not all of them, but new group of people have new ideas, breaks down the culture that we had, and then has to reform. And that's the storming and norming. And kind of in a nutshell, Maddie. Sorry.
And a great example that illustrates what you're talking about there is like when I had my freak out about Hedron, and I told everybody that
You did, didn't you?
that it was going to ruin Hex, right? And that was so.
Yeah.
I was unintentionally storming, like I was legitimately concerned. Nobody else was, right? And so I brought the storm, and I said, bad things are going to happen, because I thought that bad things were going to happen, right? And like whether I was right or not, the point is that Alex has come on the show a number of times, and that's the norming part, right? Is where the community decides to stay together after all, after debating what our beliefs are and redefining the things that make us, what we are. And we've seen that on a bigger scale with like Richard coming out with more than one coin, right? And different community offshoots. And so I think that's an important like topic to be discussing in the in the community, is this idea of storming and norming that ChrispyMan has brought
Farmers up. Unite.
The one of the three protagonists in the Highest of Stakes that I found extremely accurate was the story of Clay Collins. Now, there are like 250 people watching the show right now, thousands on the replay. So just for those of you who haven't been here the whole time, so Clay Collins, he is the founder of nomics.com, which is a coin ranking website that at one point was like the number 2 or number 3 in the world, trying to flip coin market cap. And the reason why we cared about Nomics so much is because they were the only coin ranking website at the time, did not gatekeep or lie about Hex until they did. Right. And talk about storming and norming. I didn't realize that when I invited Clay Collins to do an interview on my show, that would lead to the breakup of the most beloved weekly show that we had at the time, which was Quant Gang. They used to be on Tuesday nights for a year, and Wales Only quit. That was his storming, right? He quit because he didn't believe that I should have given Clay Collins an interview
platform,
right? And now we could still have really great debates to this day about what Clay's point was about the OA and what what other people in the Hex community thought. But I would point out that it is a very cult-like behavior to be like, yeah, we're not even gonna talk to this person.
However, having Clay on was
sometimes
good.
You have to do that to protect your culture, is to like ghost people, right? Briss?
I thought it was good that you had Clay on. You got to see from his perspective. And I think just if he had problems with anything, he could like voice his opinions. And there were I forget exactly what he even said on your show, but obviously they were probably just opinions on what he thought was right and wrong, because like I think at that time he had just cut the market cap of Hex in half.
Correct.
He was like, I don't like all these coins, so you guys get a lower market cap, and it dropped us down on the ranks. and I was like, oh great, we get another chance at going back up and
well, in the
getting back up
movie,
to
he
the top.
explains that the reason why is because Gunther or whatever, like somebody had shared with him the OA audit, and a bunch of Hexicans were saying, and I witnessed this, they were saying, don't share that with Clay. Don't let him see the transparency on chain. Don't, which that's not very DeFi now, is it? To try to hide the audit of the OA. And so in my opinion, the community was wrong in that regard. I also think that Clay downgrading the market cap like was the reason why it was a big deal is because of all the PTSD that we had from gatekeeping, not because of what Clay was doing himself, because Clay was the one who wasn't gatekeeping us, and we turned on him. And then he started getting threats on Twitter. He started getting bullied on Twitter. Clay was a Hexican. He owned Hex. In the movie, he said, I'm not a Hexican. I am just an investor in Hex. So that is a really good example of how, like, as a community, we can grow and appreciate like our cultural history of like, yeah, there were times when we had to ghost people who were gatekeeping us, right? CoinMarketCap. But then there were also times where people were trying to help us, like Clay, and we turned on them too, because we were so tired of gatekeeping.
That's
and
right, man.
I looked really bad when I was dancing on a casket, but there was a lot more to that story than just what it seemed when the movie directors walked in and said, jackpot, bitch. That's literally what they said, because it was so outrageous what we were doing as a community. But they weren't there when Eric Wall and all those other furus were telling us that we were dumb, that we didn't understand crypto, that Hex was going down forever, right? So it's it's pretty wild.
Another point was that interview.
Man. You just have this long list of negatives.
I do. I got it all written down here.
We're talking about enlightened stuff, and then we're swinging right back to, and then the lighting in scene 3 was off.
Can I make one more point about Clay? Because I see people in the chat are going after it. So I was in 2 or 3 other coins when I broke off being a Bitcoin maxi and got into Hex. I was into like Mimblewimble coin and Bitcoin Rhodium, basically anything that had like an airdrop or a yield that was related to Bitcoin. I'm like, yeah, let's check it out. And like basically, so I had witnessed another coin get into the top 200. And so I was very familiar at the time with how CoinMarketCap, what the criteria that they had published. They have scientific criteria for how they decide what's in the top 200. And look, 2 weeks ago on this show, Gary came on and proved to us what a joke market cap can really be and how hard it is to define market cap, because Sami coin was worth more than the market cap of Bitcoin. Now, should that have been at the top of coin market cap? Probably not, because Sami coin was a joke. And people lost $5,000 playing around with that. So that's a really, it's a good for people to see that coin, basically at the time, this is like not how it is now, because then Binance bought coin market crap and turned it into a professional gatekeeping corruption pay to play type of thing that we can all, storm against and keep that out of our culture of like having to pay and not be true DeFi, right? Having to pay a centralized entity to hold everybody's coins for them when self-custody is the true way. But what Clay was defining as user-controlled supply is different. It goes into a different calculation of market cap, because think of it this way. If the OA can sell, then that's what him and Lamont were saying the whole time. They were saying true DeFi if the price can go to zero based on one person. And Hexicans would say is, well, the OA coins, they've never sold. We don't have any expectations. We hope we don't. because that wouldn't be true DeFi. But why would Richard sell those coins or whoever controls them when he's got that same amount, like the liquidity pool, 32 million at the top? Like he had that many millions of dollars. He had that many.
Well presented.
Let me just finish it. He had that many millions of dollars in toys, and which one would he rather sell? His toys or his legacy? And so
I don't think that was really well presented in the movie, in my opinion.
Well, it wasn't, but that's why we're covering it now. And
right.
Well, that's one of my negative opinions of the movie.
And the argument here from Clay's perspective is that you can't have it both ways. Either you're predicting through game theory that the OA will sell or that the OA won't sell in order to decide how many of the coins count towards the market cap, because they're user controlled, they're circulating is one argument. And then, hexagons go down the route of like, well, Satoshi's coins aren't circulating, but they're counted towards the market cap. And it's like, you're kind of missing the point that, one entity owns 95% of the coins. And there is game theory suggesting that that wouldn't be sold. And so you could have the market cap be either. It depends on what you believe the game theory to be.
So
yeah, I'm in favor. I'm in favor of abolishing the idea of the OA and focusing on how wallets act and what their actions are, rather than labeling them, because I don't think we have. And we were talking about this on another show.
Nobody talks about Satoshi's coins anymore. It's just inactive wallets.
Yeah.
He's just
I mean, why not?
Wallets.
Why not normalize it? Anyways, I think it's just kind of like a thought as you're talking about the OA, but I get it.
That's a good thought. And
it's a better.
I think we could have good discussions about how to characterize it. The OA wallet is circulating because it sacrificed for Pulse and PulseX, I think that like kicking Clay out because we were trying to defend this idea of like we've been gatekept, people have lied about us. That was right and it was wrong. Like it was both. And I love that they brought it up in the movie. I love that they got Clay Collins in there because he was bullied so much he stopped talking to us. But
he was like super bearish.
We can do better
about HEX inside the movie, and I didn't think there was like any good like pushback to all his bearishness in the movie.
Well, I mean, without like spoilers, it's like I would encourage other people to go into the movie with an open mind. Consider the fact that this is supposed to be not a puff piece on all the virtues of Richard Hart and HEX, and that it's supposed to be compelling for your average, moviegoer, right? And that ultimately the goal of it, as one of the producers, is to get in front of as many eyeballs as possible to make people curious enough to do their own due diligence. Because the thing is we don't want, I mean, Richard says in the movie, it's like, you don't want to make the mistake of, mistaking like a confidence in some person for your, in lieu of your own due diligence, right? It's like you need
a competence.
To do
that was one of the best quotes in the whole movie. I'm glad you brought that up.
And that's the gist of it. So it's like, if you go in with an expectation that it's going to be like a puff piece for HEX and Richard Hart, you are going to be horribly disappointed. And I think that that's where a lot of people, Hexicans in particular, might come away from it feeling like that, because they feel like it wasn't explained. Like I really took issue, and this was actually brought up in the Q&A. I took issue with why there wasn't more pushback on the obfuscation of separating the OA into a bunch of daughter addresses. I thought that was very disingenuous by Clay, because I felt like he knew the answer. He knew that there was a possibility that the reason that the OA was broken up into multiple OA addresses was for security. It's like, would you guys want all of the OA coins in one, protected by one private key?
Nope.
Or would you prefer it to be spread across 300 or however many fucking daughters there are? So
it was to make it appear like decentralized as well.
Well, and that, I mean, right. And that's certainly part of it. But anybody with any sense at all and any knowledge of blockchain analysis could see that, what it is, right? So it's like, I think that is possibly part of it, that it makes it look more decentralized. But another part of it could, look at the behavior with the validators. a big chunk of the validators early on were the OA. I mean, that was pretty plain to see. And then publicly, it was given back to the community to validate, and that the OA was no longer controlling any validators to show that it's truly decentralized. So although that could be an argument that, you know, that was an angle they were working to try to make it appear less, they're more decentralized, I think the truer case would be, you know, what's the real life functionality of it? The real life functionality of it, in my opinion, would be that it is for security. And, you know, for that not to be pushed back on in the movie, I had problems with, because that was a big argument. So then I talked to Maxim afterward, and a couple other people, Franklin, St. Hex, and some other guys. Is it Franklin? Franklin. I don't know if it's St. Hex, but it's Franklin. And some other guys afterward. And it's like, to me, I felt like that was beautiful, the way that they left that open-ended, because to me, that feels like it's a trap, right? It's a trap for people to be like, aha, we got you. It's like, look at the OA and all these daughter addresses. How is it not obfuscation? How is it not money laundering? How is it not like this fake attempt to like make it look decentralized? And then we can push back with like a possible scenario that actually makes a lot of sense, in my opinion. It's my opinion, so it should make sense, I hope, which is silly. It's for security, right? It's like, you know, it's I would rather have one daughter address get hacked than the entire OA. Right. Yeah. So, I mean, to me, if Richard didn't think about that, he needs to think about that. And I'm thinking sure he thought about it. You know, give me a break.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so funny because you talk about that. Like you talk about it as if in other chains, in other systems, people don't use multiple wallets. You know, and right. where if you come from the Bitcoin world, right, you were getting a new address every time you made a transaction. In fact, it was recommended, right? You look into Ethereum. Of course, people were moving that stuff around. It's one of the ways you got you kept your security up in case you did get yourself compromised. Yeah, I'm with you. It's just the hypocrisy when describing it, not of yours, but I mean just to other people, and the criticism is ridiculous, right?
Hey, something I need to throw out there, just because I'm going to have to wrap, is please go to thehighestofstakes.com/screenings. I dropped it in the chat. I dropped it in the private chat as well, Maddie. There's still like 22 markets around the country that have showings that have yet to occur, that are coming up this coming weekend. I think, you know, it's great. It's great to talk about all this stuff and communicate and speculate and have fun with it and like tear it apart and like put it back together. And this is all very valuable information. I think it's good to have these kind of discussions. But if you want to do something like that actively moves us beyond the crypto bubble that we sadly live in and get it to a broader audience, the way that you can actively do that is go see the movie, right? If you haven't seen it, or if you know people in these markets, you know, let them know that it's playing in their area and that they should go check it out.
You do know somebody in these cities.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you right now.
You know somebody. Think about how excited everyone was when we said we were going to be in 25 cities around the country. We're still in 22. It's not over. Right?
Can I give people a hack here? So go on Facebook and type in the search bar, my friends who live in Chicago, Illinois. And it will pull up a list of everybody you're friends with on Facebook who lives in Chicago. And you can direct message them and be like, hey, I'm not a bot. My account didn't get hacked. But here's a website, highestofstakes.com/screenings. Go see this movie and tell me what you think. It's you know, something that I really believe in.
Yep, and it's like I'll bloviate with the best of them. It's like I'm fine to just talk about all of it. But, you know, it's like if you want actionable things, it's like this is an actionable thing that like everybody in the chat, everyone watching, everybody on the replay right now could actually do to like move the ball forward. And I mean, ultimately, this is, if we truly believe this isn't, for me personally, it's like, you know, it's different for everybody. For me personally, this isn't all about mad gains. It's like, yeah, am I happy if I get some mad gains? Sure. But for me, this is truly about DeFi, and this is truly about changing the world, and how HEX will play a role in that, and how the PulseChain will play a role in that. And this is an opportunity to get that to a broader audience. So, you know, do what you can to really, like, you know, get outside the echo chamber. And this is an easy way to do that. You know, just let people know about the movies. The Facebook thing's a great idea. I'm going to actually, after I eat something, I'm going to hop on Facebook myself and check that out, so I can do some direct messaging to get people, to get some butts and seats. I bought 16 tickets.
Here's something to get you out of your echo chamber. Here's the next part I hated about the movie.
All right, we're going to get to that. Everyone has to sign off.
You're just really trying to ruin my dinner, aren't you, Brad?
I love to hear it.
I love the movie.
Want to hear it. I know you don't want to hear it.
Okay, give it to me.
Eric Wall interview where Richard Hart is destroying them. You know, where Eric Wall's like, you can't come to America. He's like,
If you
bitch,
go
I'm in
to-
America.
If I'll drop a link in the chat, if you go to limited edition THOS.com,
No, I want
you can
it to
buy a
be
box
in the
set,
movie.
Briz. You're
I
a
want it to
Bitcoin
be in the
OG.
movie.
You can buy a box set and you can
Yeah.
see in the deleted
Help 'em
scenes
break
all
even
kinds
first.
of
I
stuff.
don't
where
want
is that?
Help him
I
break
don't
even
want
first.
people to watch this movie if I
wants it
want
for
them into
free.
HEX, because I think people are
It
going to
costs a
watch
lot of
this
money.
movie. Hey, quit it! I'm trying to get my point through. I
for
think
it.
this movie is very bearish because, like, I think people are going to watch this movie. They're going to see these crazy cult members. They're going to see, you know, like these old people that are just like,
Opportunity.
I put everything in this thing and I didn't do any research. And then they got guys like Clay Collins fudding the crap out of it.
Sell me your
And
bags, Briz.
there's
Sell
no
me your
real.
bags.
No, my bags are fucking packed. I think I want my money back for this movie.
Send me your address. I'll send you $13.50.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Guys, always a pleasure. Briz, I love you,
just
bro.
think-
Yeah.
It's
I
like
think
I
people
appreciate
are
your
gonna
opinion.
watch this movie.
Thanks
and
for
they're
being
gonna
on,
say,
Toby. We'll
Yeah,
catch
yeah.
you next time.
Yeah,
Hey,
I got to bounce. but
Watch the rest of the stream, and you can see how I really feel.
I will. I'm
I've
gonna.
been
I
really
gotta.
nice, but I've been
I'm gonna
holding
go
back.
eat.
But
and I'm
after
gonna
you're
walk.
gone, and you
So
can't quit dismissing my
This was
I
the
might have
teaser
to-
clip. An hour and a
I
half.
might
It
have
will
to. I
make-
might have to
Come-
leave.
it'll make
Come
my
back.
meal go down so much better just having you bag on me without being able to give a retort.
Hey,
so
you
We
want
definitely
real
need Crispy
feedback?
here.
Hey, do you
I
want
love
real
it.
feedback,
I
or you
love
want
it.
me to suck your dick and tell
No,
you?
absolutely not that. I definitely
Can I
do
do
not
both?
want that.
I don't
You
know.
want to reach around? You want me to tell
Feedback, please, just feedback. I just want the
Storming and
feedback.
norming.
So, all right, guys. Much love to everybody. Take care, fellas.
I already
I'll
you?
catch you later.
John Zerka's fucking based as hell.
I feel like I need to leave.
No, please stay.
Let you
it's
guys
gonna
get down to
heated
a
here.
one-on-one here.
I walked out of the movie not feeling good about HEX. I wish it was more promotional, of course, but I just felt like
All right. Can I share something with you? Rare criticism.
please
Rare.
do.
I
There's no crypty
hate.
girl in the movie.
I
Sorry.
hated. I get your point, right? I hated the stupid dancing on the casket shit. It was crazy. It was
Yeah.
insane. I
Yeah.
shook my head,
It's
and I was like,
embarrassing.
"But this is the internet. This is crypto. Hey, those guys are happy. Maddie's happy. He wants to dance.
I didn't want to
you
dance
know,
on a casket,
but whatever,
I like dancing.
whatever it was that you guys ended up doing, but it was cringe to me, just like a lot of other people
Yes.
probably think a lot of stuff. And
It's
so I hear
extremely
you,
embarrassing.
Briz. You watched it and it was cringe, and I'm probably going to go see it this weekend, and I might think it's cringe. But I think that what's funny about it, not funny, but the upside of it is, even if it is cringe, people who see it will know that it's cringe, and then when they come back later after we're at all-time highs, they buy the green candles because it's proven, right?
I will say that anecdotal evidence of people saying, "Hey, I brought my no coiner friend and they really enjoyed the movie." I've been hearing that a lot, and I think that's really positive. If no
Yeah.
coiners are watching the movie and they go, "Hey, this is kind of cool," then you know what? I'm happy about that. I think because of my deep understanding of this product and this community, and then watching the movie, I just felt like we weren't really represented in a fair and accurate way. And that's just my opinion. But I think no coiners, they don't even have that base reference. So maybe they don't see, those conferences of, the old guy going, "I got 10,000 hex. When am I going to be rich?" Maybe they
But
don't see
dude,
that
that
as
was
a
me
negative.
when I bought Bitcoin at 20K and then it dropped down to 3,800 and I didn't know it was going to go up again. That was me being like, I got
Did
my
you
one
go
Bitcoin. When am I
online?
going to be rich? everybody
did
was
you
like
go to
laughing.
Tone Vase and go, hey, I got half a Bitcoin. When am I gonna be rich?
Damn right, man.
They said
time?
1 Bitcoin equals 1 Bitcoin. They didn't say half a Bitcoin equals half a Bitcoin.
So, I mean, I get it. I know there's people out there that do think
Ah,
like that. I have one of my roommates who I could not get into crypto. He was just like, "How long is it going to take for me to be rich, though?" I'm like, "Bro, like just get in. Like it might take 10 years." He's like, "I don't want to wait 10 years." I'm just like, "Well, then, like you might not ever be rich."
Yeah, then
you
wait
know?
forever.
Yeah, you have all this like student loan debt and like and so he's just like, I don't want to wait that long. I'm like, all right, well, then you might not ever. So I know there's people out there that are like that, but quite
yeah.
frankly, I don't really see people in our chats going, hey guys, I got, you know, I got 10,000 hex. When am I gonna be rich?
You're obviously not in the same chats I'm in. There's plenty of people saying that.
This
Yeah,
show
I'm
is
sure
so
there are.
technical. It's not for new people, but
Yeah.
it still serves an important purpose because it keeps people interested, and that's half the equation of supply and demand. Yeah, I think that so my take is that it's an accurate portrayal, and that it'll end up being even more bullish, because I think the Hex community has sucked at onboarding and has acted like a bunch of pirates. And I think that there are lots of criticisms that we should be open to, because if we got our marketing right, which, like, I use that term very ironically, because like this is DeFi, so it's not marketing. Nobody's paying us to do this, right? But as fans of a product, like I see so much room for improvement. That's like, oh, you think Hex can only do a 7 million X like Bitcoin did? Well, you haven't seen anything yet, because Bitcoin
When,
wasn't designed with the same game theory. And
when,
it sounds crazy, right? Just like it would sound crazy if you said that about Bitcoin, when you had to send a money order to Japan, and
I did say that.
then
I did say it was crazy.
okay, ChrispyMan was there paying attention when Bitcoin was a penny. That's incredible.
Well, I told you the
Um,
story. I didn't buy it for like $1 or whatever it was because I didn't want to send it. I didn't want to send $1,000 in an envelope to Canada.
yeah,
I was afraid I'd get in trouble in some way for sending cash in the mail, or to another country. Never mind the fact that I wouldn't. I don't know who the hell the person was. Right? It was an email address. Like, send me $1,000 cash. Okay, I do that all the time. Right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you.
I bought my first like real Bitcoins on Craigslist.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So like what happened
That's so
was
cool.
I got a rejection letter from Mount Gox. They're like, oh, we're not accepting
Rejection.
anymore. Yeah, because I signed up in like November of 2013 and they crashed in December. And they're like, we're not accepting
Whoa.
any more people. And so I actually ended that's when I found Coinbase. I'm like, all right, give me $5. And then I just saw the price going up and I go, oh, this is how it works. There's only 21 million of them. All these are going to be bought up by the weekend. I'm like, give me more than $5, and they're all, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let your first purchase come through, and then you can buy more. I'm like, no, there's not enough time. Everyone's going to be buying these up.
Oh
They're going to be
shit.
gone. And so I'm like, I went on Craigslist
Give me
and I
Hex.
typed in Bitcoin, and I just found a guy who was mining Bitcoin, and he was selling them on Craigslist. And I got like a 1.3 for like about $300.
Whoa.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
so I mean, so there have been examples in the past where people were early to crypto and they showed up and it wasn't wasn't very professional yet. And I wouldn't be surprised if our community continues to grow in
Mm.
more outrageous and less outrageous ways. I finally started meeting some new streamers again, and that's really encouraging, because I was sitting there thinking to myself, like, we're about due for another wave of like fresh faces to come in and start volunteering and creating channels. And so that's another thing that I'm looking forward to, is watching more people grow in the I don't know if I think this is the 4th or 5th wave of streamers that's going to start coming here. So that'll be really cool. Now, look, as long as we're trash talking Hex and explaining why it's actually bullish, and we're breaking the cult, right? And like saying things that are uncomfortable and true. Like, let's go back to the example of Clay thinking that the OA is not going to sell, so you shouldn't count that towards the market cap. Whether you agree with that or not, let's just consider that perspective for a second, because I think I can take something that Eric Wall said and then just make him seem really dumb. So 38% APY.
Clay was wrong, by the way.
About what?
About what his statement. Oh, go
ahead. So, well, what was Clay wrong about?
You can't just arbitrate. In my view, if you're trying to, well, he's out of business now, so obviously he was wrong. But I mean, but I mean, you know, when you're trying to deal with an entire industry or a subset of an industry, you have to have a good set of rules. You can't arbitrarily decide, hey, those guys are going to sell their tokens, so therefore we're including them, and those guys they don't. So therefore,
I thought this was true DeFi. There was new information that came to light because of the transparency of the blockchain. Are you saying that he should not have used that information to apply the same rules? To apply the same rules that he applied to everybody else except Bitcoin?
I think he came to the wrong conclusion. And if he was doing that to other tokens, then that was probably wrong as well.
Do you think that the OA will sell?
No, who cares whether they're always going to sell? If you're going to do something like calculate market cap, it's very simple. I mean, these are the tokens that have been minted, and this is the value.
Well, but then Sami would be ranked #1 above Bitcoin.
It's okay.
That's okay.
In terms of market cap, sure.
I think there's better ways to determine coin ranks, but it's also complicated.
I like how you
because
think.
There's people that will just game it, you know, like, because if you want to rank it by like volume, then you get people doing fake wash volumes, just trading back and forth. So you know, it's a very complicated thing to measure, but I just want people to realize that all these coin ranking sites can just wipe off half the market cap with a click of the button, and it does nothing to the price.
Yeah, I mean,
caps are bull crap.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we don't trust anybody now, right? Because I don't trust any of the market cap information, because it all can be rigged to whatever anybody wants it to be. Now, I'm not saying they're doing it or not, but I don't lose sleep over, you know, the numbers that are up there, because it's just anecdotal, right? I mean, in my mind it is, and let's get there. But
I'm glad that you guys presented that side of the argument. Now, what I was going to say about 38% APY is that, you know, like,
it's so sweet.
You could say that compared to the user controlled supply of coins, that the inflation is actually 38%. And that's a point that I think a lot of Hexicans like haven't connected, because we know it to be true. Maybe, you know, that the rest of the coins do exist, and that there is presumably a user controlling the OA funds, because we've seen them move and we've seen them do like things that are, in our opinion, beneficial to the game theory of Hex. And so the good news here, though, is that even if you are somebody who is making the argument that the OA will never sell, which I can't say that myself, but if you're Eric Wall and that's what you're saying, which I don't think he was saying that either. But again, the only way that his argument for 38% inflation holds up is in that case. But guess what? It's okay if there's 38% inflation, because Hex still did a 10,000x before staking in 656 days. And so what that tells me is that what we have here is something that's probably more powerful than even a lot of people understand. And so how would you guys respond to that?
From my understanding with the whole 38% APY is that, yeah, if you lock up for just like 1 year, you're not going to get 38% APY. You're going to, at this point, you're going to get about a little over 10%. But the thing is that over the next 6 months, the payout per T-share increases, so that 10% will also increase in percentages. And it's not until you get like maybe like 2 or 3 years in, like we are, that you're actually getting that like 38% on average. Just because
And
the way I like to say it is like this is 2 years ago we were getting 2 hex per T-share. Now say I locked in a 10% per year and I staked it for like 2 years. Well, now that 10% went from 2 hex per T-share to 6 hex per T-share. So that actually increased 200%. So that 10% now becomes 30%.
You're talking about the rate. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like you have to lock it up an average amount of time, and then you actually have to serve a little bit of time for that average rate to kind of go up. And that's very hard to explain, and it's a hard concept to grasp if you haven't lived it.
I mean, Eric was making fun of people for saying that, 38% is possible, but that there's not 38% inflation. And if you look at user controlled, it is 38% on both. However, he formed the wrong conclusion that this is somehow bad, when in reality we know that the price went up so much, and over time the inflation in terms of user controlled supply gets more distributed, and therefore you would imagine goes down over time. It just like, well, and also what you're saying, Brisology, about like shorter time frames paying like 10% or 12%. The average stake length in Hex is a long time to stick around for something.
7,
and
right?
The bigger point I think that also Eric would miss is the true APY in Hex was 1,000,000%, because you multiply it by the USD price appreciation. And if you could earn 1,000,000% APY in 656 days from extra tokens being created, the price would have been the same as it started out at the all-time low. But if you only pay 38% APY, then more value gets transferred into price appreciation at the USD level. So that's it's all relevant.
I just wanted to point out that I'm looking at my stakes that I made around this time in 2020, right?
Okay.
So it's been literally almost 3 years, and like the AP, because there's 2 APYs, the one that you get per day, and then your APY that you have like in total. And the one that the daily APY, I'm looking at these guys and they're like 42%, 45%, and their total APYs are like 62%, 63%. So it's like,
well, that's because there's a big paydays, right?
Yeah, there's that too. That was added.
This is one of my favorite topics. So first off, misnomer or misunderstanding. Lots of people don't understand. When we do those measurements, that 38% measurement, that is open stakes. That is what the average is for open stakes.
Okay.
It is not what people get when they stake. There's no, and I think Bruce kind of alluded to that.
Kind of ramps up to the 38.
But because of the TShares, right, and how that mechanism works, and that the cost is going up, even though when you start like a Quattro Cinco, now I forget the exact number, I think it's in the 20s. We could go look, but when you initially do your stake, right, you have this effect where the T-share rate's going to go up for people to come after you, and the payouts are going to go up after that fact. And so what Briz is talking about is and I didn't know this until last year. I mean, it took a long time for that to settle in. When you make a stake, it begins to rise, right? It begins to slowly rise. And so over time, you're for a longer stake, what you'll see is your APY actually goes up. It floats upwards. It's pretty cool that that's the case. Now, I don't know, Briz, if that means you can do like a Quattro Cinco today, what it'll hit, and whether I'll ever hit 38. I don't know, but I do know what the APYs are, and you're generally correct about that, right? 10% for about a year, which is phenomenal, guys. Man, I
Yeah.
was looking at some stuff. I was like, man, can you imagine? I can't find, you try to find 1%, 2% anywhere. And we'll just end with this, Maddie. Huge opportunity right now. Huge opportunity. So what am I talking about? Staking ladders. So not financial advice, but if you're looking into HEX and you're like having an inkling that you're interested in this and you're interested in sticking around for 15 years, get a staking ladder, get it done now. It doesn't have to be huge for it to be very big in the future. Take the gamble.
Yes.
Because getting it in there and rolling is what'll give you that wealth. And I know we talk about go out longer than the average, yeah. But I haven't checked this recently. We don't have that much staking going on for long time frames. We do have some really cool ones, man. I see this million come through for 5 years, another one coming through for a couple of years, another one for 7 years. I see 10 million, but by and large, the people who are staking, they're staking really short, man. And so there's a big opportunity right now to build a ladder and just outperform all those guys. And my evidence for that, and I think I talked to you about this a number of times, Maddie, we were looking at the whole, what's the value of your T-share count and T-share days and the all-in indicator. I followed the Richard Hart plan. And what was the Richard Hart plan? The Richard Hart plan was delay gratification, long time frame, get in early, build a staking ladder, and that's what I did. Right? That's what I did. But my buddies, as we were going through the market here over the last few years, they kept talking about how their position was moving all over the staker chart. Mine never moved. Right? I was like, what the hell is going on? Is my staker app broken? Because I wasn't changing position. Well, I had followed this path, so I have longevity. I've got a 15-year ladder as a trade-off, right? For getting all that yield and being in position. The trade-off is I don't have access to those tokens, right? But the reward is the extra reward. Anyway, so anybody listening, if you're thinking about getting in, think about doing it this year and not waiting too much longer to get yourself locked in, because you will be the new OGs. That's for sure.
I know I did best when the price of HEX had dipped. I find it easier to stake because I don't want to sell at that point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and huge opportunity. I agree with so little competition right now for people staking, but that doesn't stop the price of a T-share from going up.
Here's it doesn't. And here's a fun fact, right? This week, I think I called it on the day, right? I think I've proven our theories, the whole HEX theories, and not my theories, but the HEX theories pretty well. But both chains went up 400 last week, 400 HEX.
Wow.
And it'll continue to go up towards the end of the year. In November this year, my prediction is 1,500 HEX increase. So we have until about then before you're going to see like a 5 to 7% increase in those T-share rates. And of course, it goes up every year, so it's like a no-brainer. It goes up every day, sometimes 3 times a day. But just to give you an idea, that that'll go up 1,500. It'll be 1,500 more HEX. Just like that, and overnight.
Yeah, it's incredible. So, yeah, really great points there about valuing T-shares. Do you know what the T-share rate is now?
I can tell you. I actually have charts and all that.
I haven't.
It's about 29,000. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you what they are. It's
What?
28,986 on Ethereum, and 28,987 on PulseChain. So it'll be
10,000. It was 10,000 when Hex first started.
God damn! You remember when it was 0?
No.
Oh wait, it was never 0. It was. It started. Yeah, but I kick myself in the ass all the time looking at that, man. I don't dwell on it, but man, we were getting some cheap TShares, you know. But that's the thing. And here's the thing, right, guys? Other than the big payday event where we did have this massive event and payout, right? The T-share rate has been going up pretty consistently. So year over year. So ever since the beginning of 21, right? And so it's just part of the game to be in longer in order to accumulate more, more of the pieces on the board so that you can beat the other guys and ladies, right? It's
Absolutely.
a game.
Yeah.
It's a game.
Yeah. And certainly, like, in general, it seems like crypto is a game of attrition where, people who are selling bottoms are creating opportunity for people who are wanting to hold.
So one of the things that people, said was the rise of, I guess, Bitcoin back in the day was that they said Tether was printing free money out of thin air and pumping the crap out of Bitcoin. My question to you guys is, I heard PayPal is coming out with their own stable coin.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys think that might pump the crap out of the crypto markets?
Yeah. Well, will it? I don't know. Could it? Absolutely, right? It's another onboarding methodology. Somebody's got to create some value or bring some value and put it against that new token, and that token will go into the system to be used, right? So yeah, I mean, it's kind of like watching the bridge. If 100 million goes in, 100 million goes in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, I don't usually play around with PayPal anymore, but
so here's another issue is that new PayPal stablecoin, people have pointed out that they have the ability to freeze the coins in your account and then to wipe them out of your account. So
yeah, I saw that.
Think of that before you get into PYUSD. All right, guys.
This is going to be kind of interesting because, of course, we don't believe in that in DeFi, but it is potentially the beginning of melding of real life to to DeFi, right?
We got real
crossover
DeFi
type stuff. We do, but that crossover, because if you think about it and I'm not advocating for it, but we want all these things to happen where these centralized companies, because companies aren't going away, right? So take a step back. We're going to continue to have corporations and companies that provide services, and they're going to be centralized. So sorry to ruin everybody's day, right? So in the world, we're going to have that stuff. And so at least for a period of time, maybe we get to complete DeFi someday, right? But for a period of time, we're going to have these hybrids, and that means that you're going to have the ability to transact across the financial chain into our chain, right? And so from their perspective, it makes perfect sense that they need to serve their customer, because like who hasn't done a chargeback? Who hasn't had a mistake?
Chargebacks are awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of shitty when you do it on purpose, but yeah. But I mean,
no. Only when you do it like because somebody scammed you. That's
yeah.
the
I
only
mean,
time you
and
do a
that's what they're
chargeback.
talking about. How do they provide the same level of services but apply it to what they do in crypto? And so again, I'm not advocating for it, but I understand why they're doing it.
That's why they have those backdoor keys, those admin keys.
And all that stuff, and that's I think other smarter people than me end up talking about this, and they're kind of like talking about how these and CDBCs are going to be like stepping stones into real DeFi. RG3 says that, I think.
Yeah, this PayPal news though, even though I'm not bullish on their stablecoin at all, it makes me bullish on the crypto space in general because it's it's more legitimacy for the space. Everyone has heard of PayPal.
Yeah, well, you've been able to buy Bitcoin on PayPal for a long time.
Yeah,
they just didn't have the ability to get over to the stablecoin. So I see a nice move in that
fake
direction.
Bitcoin, and then people think they own Bitcoin, but they don't, and then they lose the plot of what crypto really is.
True.
And then it makes it look like Hex is weird when really Hex is the truest crypto.
Yeah, it does. Boy, the world's a confusing place, Matty Allen.
I'm glad we're cutting through the noise on this show, and then we have 244 people watching live, thousands on the replay. Hit the like and subscribe button.
I only see like 3 people posting.
And remember, guys, you're gonna hear the truth about everything here. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and be like, "Oh my god, this was a 10 out of." Well, I did say it was a 10.
Are you saying this isn't a cult? Wait a second.
Yeah, look.
Are you questioning things?
I'm one of the head cultists, and I'm saying, don't show this movie to people that you want to buy Hex to.
Comment if you're not a bot. Comment right now to prove that we actually have people watching. This might be your first time commenting. Get it in there. Throw an emoji or a word, a kind word.
So I'm gonna carve out. I've been doing this. I've used this title. Miners only. That's my new title. Miners only, right, for my streams. Because I think
only one or just miners only.
I think it could be either way. But we talk about our community. I think there's I think most of crypto is there you go. That's like something like a dwarf would have or something, man, right? It's like
it's a pickaxe.
Yeah, it's a very nice one. I think that for those people who are able to understand and get onboarded into mining, we got a huge opportunity, man. And probably in other protocols, but definitely in Hex for sure. Because I just think that we're not going to have. I just think we're just not going to have 90% of all the new people come in, jump all over, mining. Just not going to happen. Well,
I mean, I got a question for you. Someone asked it to me earlier in the chat. I think it was Melv Tony. He said that we're losing some validators. He said that it went down a little bit, the total number of validators.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any particular idea why that might be?
I can guess for you. I am validating. I love it, man. It's great. I think that there's been a lot of chatter in the chats lately from people asking how to withdraw. And so I took that as additional interest in pulling out of validating. It could be because prices are down. People want to use it for swapping. Maybe they need to get out. I don't know. It's not because there's any particular problem. I mean, I forgot, Bruce, are you validating?
No, I'm not.
So last week, like during this drop, I had like 5 times as much rewards come in during the drop. It was like crazy. I was like texting David Feeder and I was like, David, did you see this? What's going on? He said, hey, maybe you hit the mega ball or something. I don't know. It just had like a ton.
Yeah, there's a special reward system, like little jackpot system in there. If people get a chance to watch the 1 hour in the 42-hour live stream where you had David Feeder, Gamma DevOps, and RH Max, I made sure to schedule those guys together because they are all validator experts and they had an excellent discussion. If you are not new to the space, you will definitely get something out of this this stream. I think it was the 3rd hour on the first day, but let me double check the schedule here. It was good.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of cutting up the because it's too much all at once. No, it was the second hour on the second day. I'm gonna cut it up. I'm gonna try to cut up the conference into hour-long chunks and put it so you can just search like the person you want to see.
Yeah, I hope we get some other options that'll come up soon, with like Rocket Pool or something for the general public. But that being said, man, it was very simple to use validators, validatorstore.com, David Feeder's site. And I've listened to RH Max a ton. He's very straightforward. And I hear a lot of people talk about, it being difficult. And I've listened to Gamma too. But I mean, talking about it being difficult and there's some risk to doing validating, but it is pretty awesome. Just printing more free money.
I'm really interested in getting involved, and so I hope I can carve out the time and be in the same physical location long enough. But yeah, that's really exciting that you've got that experience. And I talked to a lot of people at the conference who are also enjoying being validators. Now, one point of information, because I see a lot of people speaking on this, there are not 30,000 people validating. There are 530 people validating, and there are 30,000 validators. And so the way that math works out is to be profitable, a lot of people are, or to make it worth their time, a lot of people are doing like a minimum of 10 validators, which I don't think that's just what David recommends. But I think other people might find that running one would be right for them, or running 3, but it's you can run more than one validator from each computer that you have, and apparently it goes all the way up to 1,000 that people have done.
Wow.
On a single
So I can
device.
do more than one on my validating machine now.
Which you already knew. Yeah.
Right? I'm playing the game. I'm playing.
You're messing with us?
I'm supporting.
Okay. Yeah. So that's good to know that it is still super decentralized with 530 people running validators, and maybe more people will join the game, such as myself.
There's only 530 addresses, huh? Wow.
Yep. Somebody did the chain analysis. So I think I'm going to do a special. I think I'm going to do a special episode about being able to undo a hack. And in fact, because I released my seed words to the $10,000 here on over the weekend, that was really rewarding for me to like hit that milestone with the project. It felt like the biggest milestone we've reached with timepays.me. And you can find that on my Twitter. You can play along. I know David Feeder was in the conference center when I was giving my talk, and he typed in my seed words to his phone and started showing everybody that they could see the $10,000, but they couldn't steal it because of the technology of using the second seed phrase as I did. And so there's a lot more tutorials to come. The reason that I haven't made it easy for new people to get in is because I wanted more feedback from people. I wanted more advanced users to be the first ones to use it. And for me to follow through on, the things that I said I would do, which, was a long list of things, including this bug bounty type of thing. And so my next goal is actually to go on some big YouTube shows outside of the HEX community to start shilling Time Pays Me to the Ethereum community. So if you see me go on like a high profile stream, like I don't bring up HEX, in that moment, it might just be because I'm talking so much about Pulse and about Ethereum and about Time Pays Me. But then if people from Ethereum actually use Time Pays Me, then they can come to my channel and hear me talk about HEX a lot.
Exactly.
But that might just stop some of the gatekeeping. So yeah, that's my little plan going forward. Yeah.
I love it. I think that's great community outreach, and then people will come back and find our communities indirectly, and I think that's wonderful. I think that's really cool.
Thank you.
Be a good opportunity to onboard new communities into the PulseChain as well. We should.
I don't know if it'll work, but I think it's a cool trick to show off, and maybe a bunch of nerds from other communities, maybe they'll get into it too.
I think the hacker firewall feature is going to be very, very. I think that's going to be it's going to make it really popular, in my opinion. I think it's just a genius invention of having a hacker firewall. I think that's really great. I think it's going to be able to protect a lot of people that implement it.
Yeah, and my talk is another thing that I'll split into an hour-long video so that people can see it easier. But also shout out to the other two team members that helped make this possible, which you saw one of them stream for the first time ever, Chris of hexsearch.io. He was there for my talk at the plsconference.live, and he's the front end developer for Time Pays Me. And then a lot of people also know Future Us, and he's the blockchain
been a long
developer.
time since I've seen him around.
Yeah, well, he and I talk every day, and we've been doing that for like 2.5 years, and so that's how Time Pays Me came about. Was these two community members in Hex decided to volunteer because they believed in the same vision that I did for making money programmable again. And
sweet.
We had to wait for PulseChain to come along to really make that affordable and to make the vision come true. But yeah, so thanks, huge thanks to everybody in the community supporting and liking and retweeting and staying tuned to see how this all plays out. But yeah, are there any other topics that you guys want to get to before we wrap for the week?
Yeah, I got a question for both of you.
I have a complaint that I want to make about the movie.
Go ahead.
I haven't seen it yet. I'll say it, Chris.
So I got a question for you guys. It's regarding game theory, regarding the SEC. All right, it's just a question, and I just want to know what you guys would feel is a better outcome. And I heard Corey Geary and Dane talking about this earlier today. And so I just wanted to bring it up, and I want to know your guys' thoughts. And this is it: is if Richard, he's getting sued by the SEC, and I was just wondering what you guys thought was a better outcome, if he settles it very quickly, but it's almost like an admission of guilt, or and that gets done very quickly, or would you guys rather he fought this and maybe go into a years-long battle, but maybe there's a lot of FUD during like the next bull run of 2025. So it's like, would you guys rather this be settled with a fine in 2024, early 2025, or maybe have him go to legal battle and battle it out? Maybe it takes multiple years until like 2026, 2027 for it to actually get settled, and we could have years of FUD or clarity very quickly. What do you guys think is the best situation? Does that make sense?
I think
I'm not a legal expert.
Yeah,
but it's just game theory. It's game theory.
I would rather the SEC just drop the whole thing. How about that? I went for option 3.
Well, would that provide clarity if they just dropped it? Or would it like leave them open to also be open to suit again?
Yeah, I hate to be not to give you an answer, so I'll give you a firm answer. I would prefer that he fight it out. but it's his own personal decision to make, and I will support whichever decision he makes, because I think that now we're making the assumption something could end quick, or quicker than maybe a long time, and we're making that assumption because we've seen other founders deal with this. At this day and age, with the amount of bullshit that's going on and the information that's so crazy out there, I don't think accepting it is truly an admission of guilt, by doing some sort of a thing. It's how our system works in the US, unfortunately. Right. So, but I can understand how I personally would feel doing that and feeling like I was saying I did something wrong when I really didn't, and I would want to fight it. So, anyways, I think that Richard has to decide what he wants to do. But I think a long, drawn out, lots of press type of event is what I would prefer. But that would not be great for my bags, man, because it might be 2029. I might not live that long, man.
Right.
Better get healthy today, right?
I will right after this.
Personally, I would like him to fight it and have it be finished within 6 months, but I don't think that's really an option.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's
just tell
personally
Richard that he
what I
works
would
for
like.
you, and that's what you're telling him to do, right?
No, I'm just saying he's being sued, and I'm saying there's a couple different possible potential outcomes. One where he settles, one where he fights it,
and one where it just goes away.
And one where it just Gary goes, you know what? I'm going to go after AI. I'm bored with you. I don't want to play with you guys no more. And he drops Richard like the Woody doll.
The reason I'm mad, bro, is like I don't even know the game theory of like whether Richard has to like actually go in person. Yeah. So like it's impossible for me to speculate on the game theory when I don't even know like the procedures.
No, we don't have the details of any of this stuff either. I mean, we just got the ruling, or not the ruling, but the paperwork. Even if that's correct, there's got to be more details behind the scenes we don't know about, right?
Has to be.
Exactly. And yes, but I think that it was definitely a topic of discussion over the past week. We saw, a flash crash as we reported last week on Game Theory Gang, and there were 2 in a row on Monday and Tuesday. Those ended up being giant opportunities for people to buy about half the price that it's sitting at today or something. But it was also a downer for people who didn't have any dry powder to buy and wanted to sell soon or something. But,
are those of us away?
Yeah, but it's I think this has been a really great episode that we had today, because we got to talk about a lot of stuff and had a lot of hot takes. A lot of people watching. I think the community is engaged. I think a lot of people caught bits and pieces of the Pulse conference, and I would encourage people to go take your energy and find which talks really excite you. I was driving 14 hours back to Illinois last night from Austin, Texas, and I got to hear multiple hours on 2X of the conference that I had missed because I was running the thing. So definitely lots of, and I was very impressed. I shouldn't say surprised, but I was very impressed with like the matches of the different people speaking at the same time. Just really was outstanding. So thanks to everybody for bringing their A game and for, just showing up during times of uncertainty.
I'd just like to say that, everything I've expressed my opinion on, especially about the movie, it's just my hot take. I know a lot of people really enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the movie too. I just wish it was more bullish on HEX. And I wish it promoted my bags better. I want it pumping my bag. I want that movie telling everyone if they don't buy HEX, all the hair is going to fall out. Even if it's not true.
Well,
but that's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. Everyone should watch the movie and form their own opinion. And I'm glad that we do have the movie more than if we didn't have the movie. I'd rather us have it. over not have it. So, Toby, thank you for producing this movie.
Yeah,
I really appreciated it, and I know, I mean, look at all the pictures of people standing around taking pictures inside the movie theater. I thought that was really cool. This was like, honestly, this was like one of the movies where after it ended, people were hanging out in the movie theater and just talking.
Oh yeah.
Like, when have you ever seen like people stay inside the movie after it ended and there's no end credit scenes and people were talking about the movie? I've never seen that happen before.
I think David and I and a couple other people on Sunday night were there talking about the movie afterwards, longer than the movie had played.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was great. So if you haven't seen the movie, go see it so you can decide whether you agree with Brisology or whether you agree with me. It's going to be playing in 25 cities here on Saturday, and then it's also going to go to Europe. Remember, that's in the cards and has already been announced. So all the streamers there in Europe are going to be looking forward to seeing it live. Amazing. Well, I'm going to be continuing my 141 week streak of doing every Tuesday and Thursday night here with Hex Therapy Live on Thursday. I'll be going over how to undo a hack and some other great topics. But how about you two? Where can people find you?
Hexfire.io is the website. Hexfire.io here on YouTube and
Awesome.
Twitter. Hexfire.io.
If you guys want to know, if you guys want a link to all the places you can find me, just click that like button and a link will pop up. And that's all the places you can find me. All right.
Just think good thoughts and Briz will pop up.
So get a Trezor from the link in the description below. Hit the like and subscribe button. Follow both of these guys on their Twitter and YouTubes. And until next time, stay wisely, my friends, and peace out.
Stay crispy.